What's up, everyone? Welcome to Point Taken, episode 36. My name is Alex Martinet. This is the video game podcast on vpdaily.com. Joining me is Andrew
Hey, Alex, thank you for having me, as always.
and Tyler.
Hey, glad to be back.
So, what's up? What's new with you guys? What have you guys been playing?
Lots of things have been happening in the news, but we're going to talk about the thing that's really important: video games.
Mostly.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff has been coming out. We talked about it last week, but these 90 days are just insane, and the barrage started already. But For Honor finally got its retail release. Ubisoft's next. I call them kite games because they're games that they want the tails to be really long on. So games with extended season passes and things like that. If you guys ever flown a kite, they have a little tail.
Yeah, they had some interesting remarks at their financial call recently, where they said they want to release only less games, 4 games a year going forward, but they want to be supporting those games longer and make each game a big event, and then continue to support them.
Yeah, and they're doing that. Rainbow Six Siege is on its 2nd season of content. Obviously, we don't know the future of the Division. I don't think they released maybe they did release their last DLC, The Last Stand, or whatever their last thing was. If not, they have to release that, and then I don't know what the future is for that game. And then, obviously a new Assassin's Creed this year, most likely set in Egypt. So they'll have a few tent poles, but like Tyler said, they're really kite games. Get For Honor out the door and support it for a year with content. And, their multiplayer plays on that with the ever-expanding conflict war, depending on what faction you choose.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that we didn't hear anything new regarding Assassin's Creed or any of that sort. It's kind of expected that we're going to hear that possibly at E3 in June.
E3, the Assassin's Creed cycle goes, somebody was always going to leak it. The last 8 Assassin's Creeds have been leaked. But no, we saw that one photo 2 years ago about the Egyptian setting.
Yeah.
And I have it on good authority that the game is probably going to be set on Egypt. So, and there's going to be some cool mechanics too, which obviously don't quote me on this. But one of the things that Assassin's Creed Syndicate did was you were given a grappling hook. And you were able to shoot the grappling hook up and traverse buildings and stuff like that. In this Assassin's Creed, you're going to get a little pet eagle, and you just send the eagle up there, essentially. So you just send the eagle up and to get the vantage points and stuff like that. So it's kind of almost, because if you think about Egypt, it's not a very vertical landscape. So they're not taking climbing out because that's a core part of the franchise. But with that eagle, you're just going to be able to send it up and get those vantage points or whatever, eagle sync points or whatever they're called.
Does it just become a sequel to Eagle Flight then?
Eagle Flight's great. Eagle Flight's great. I don't know if you guys, I know Tyler has a PlayStation VR, but Eagle Flight's a great little thing, and the multiplayer.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, and they do the good job of, so how VR works is to mitigate motion sickness. If you're flying, Google Earth VR does this too. So instead of showing you this, they'll show you this when you move. So it'll basically limit the field of view as you're flying. So it kind of, like I said, limits motion sickness if you're prone to get that, which is cool.
Yeah, they don't have you turn your head. You're always tilting.
Yeah.
I don't know. For the most part, if they do go back to Egypt, I think that they might get called out for a little bit of. I wish they would go back and do Prince of Persia and actually reboot that series. The last one they did in 2007 or 2008, the art version of it. How would you describe it? The
Eco Prince of Persia, the one where you have the girl.
Yeah, the last one. Yeah. That was a really cool one. That was before, I think that was a year before the movie came out. Before Jake Gyllenhaal kind of nuked that franchise. I think it'd be really cool if they actually did go back and went to Egypt, but not with Assassin's Creed. They would have to do. I think if they went back to Egypt, it'd be kind of odd to see that as under the Assassin's Creed name. But of course, what would make Assassin's Creed relevant in 2017? It's been out. It first debuted in '08, so we've had 9 years of Assassin's Creed, almost 12 games, 13 games.
And that's not even considering like PlayStation Portable games and stuff like that. No, I think they will go back to Egypt, and I think it'll be an interesting setting because the best part about that franchise is that they can play around in any sandbox that they want with the Animus conceit. That being said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Egyptian setting. Obviously pyramids and Egyptian mythology is really cool. I don't think it'll play that too much, but who knows? And again, this will be the earliest in a time that those games have ever been set. So it'll be interesting to see how like simple things like the technology and the traversal and that stuff works out. So that's cool.
Yeah, like I'm curious, like just in terms of like Ubisoft in general. I think this is like a make or break a year for them because you have the investor. I'm blanking on his name. He now owns 25% of Ubisoft. Who is it?
Vivendi.
Vivendi, yeah, Vivendi.
Well, they want to own more, but
they want to own more, but
yeah, they want to own more, but I don't think they will until a little bit because they're trying to take over Ubisoft.
But yeah, Tyler, you and I have been playing For Honor. What do you think of it so far?
I really like the combat. I think the core, how you're switching between the 3 stances, and it feels really good when you like parry a move. And like I feel like the core combat's really fun, but then I feel like the game modes that are there for the multiplayer kind of go against the strengths of the combat, which is so nuanced. And then like almost every like 4-on-4 multiplayer match kind of ends up with people trying to gang up on people, and then you can just slash away without really caring if there's like 3 guys on 1 or 2-on-1. And it just becomes like a kind of a mess. And then the UI, it sometimes can get difficult to see what's going on. And it needs to communicate like the stances for you to play well. And that can get muddied up when there's like 20 grunts standing around in the Dominion mode.
There's in-app purchases in that game, right?
Yeah, you can
buy
more stuff. Like you can like get better gear that helps you in the multiplayer modes, but it's pretty minor stuff. But like it is weird kind of having like a pay to win element in a game that's supposed to be so skill based. But I don't know. I don't think the multiplayer really feels nearly as good as it should.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know. Like I am really enjoying it, but like I've been to 4 to 5 press events at Ubisoft, and they keep showing it. So I'm just gotten used to how it's formatted, how it's presented, and how the stances kind of work out. Have you been to any press events or any of that? Is this your first time experiencing?
I played the betas. That's it, like the closed and the open beta, and then I'm playing the full game here.
Yeah, just like Tyler said, I've only gotten to dive into the open beta that they had previously. I played it on PC. The tutorial was okay. Like they do a decent job trying to tutorialize you with the controls and stuff.
Well, the good news is that the campaign is one giant tutorial. So
that's what I was.
If you want 10 more hours of tutorialization, they got you covered.
Do they do anything interesting with it?
There's some cool
I think
set
they
pieces.
explain the tribes. They explain why they're fighting, but it's kind of odd that in multiplayer all 3 of them are linked up, or you can play as each of them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I enjoy that they have a little bit of PlanetSide-esque to the multiplayer, where each tribe is trying to take territory.
Faction control. That's cool.
The faction control is a nice idea, and it's not limited by console or PC. So whoever is playing on each tribe is actually helping their squad out.
I will say, well, it looks really, really good on PC. After I got through the tutorial and everything, you have to like beat this guy and we'll unlock online for you. After I did that, I was dropped from the first 2 games I played, which was kind of upsetting. I've heard the PC's been having some connection issues with like either dropped frame rate, and then because you drop your frame rate, they kick you out of the game if you don't have a constant frame rate, or just not being able to connect to servers. On the PC, I haven't tested the consoles. So, but yeah, the first 2 games I got dropped, and then the third one I played, and I was like, oh, this can be interesting. But it seems like, personally, for the Esposito Matrix, it's one of those things where it's I'll play it for like a week, and then I won't play it for like a month. And then when I go back on to play it, everybody will be really good, like the people that are diehard. And that's what Ubisoft wants to find with this game. You know, like the Rainbow Siege community is a big community of diehard Rainbow Six Siege fans. And I think For Honor will find a community of diehard For Honor fans.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I think my issue with the game is I just kind of don't find the modes fun. The only one I like really liked was the duel, like the one-on-one stuff, because that feels like totally skill based. Deathmatch is okay, but then they have it. I really thought elimination mode would be like my jam because I love like modes where you kill somebody and they're dead forever. But you can still revive people in that mode, and that leads to this really like poor gameplay loop where you're just guarding the enemy's dead bodies for like an hour, and then it takes like 2 seconds, like less than 2 seconds to revive somebody. It's really quick. So like if you just get staggered for a second, the guy's way up, and it kind of mitigates the whole purpose of killing a guy, and then they have full health again. So it's, I don't know, I really did not like elimination. And then deathmatch and elimination are on the same playlist, so I had to keep playing the elimination mode that I didn't like if I wanted to play deathmatch, and I just found that really frustrating.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's going to get aired out. I'm sure there's going to be a patch where they finally will separate that. But yeah, I agree that's a little bit of a misstep there.
Yeah, and like we talked about the kite game. I mean, this game is a kite game in a sense that, like, you know, they even tutorialize you with like, hey, each season is broken down into rounds, and like, you know, so they want to support this, I'm sure, with whether it's new executions or new, you know, types like that, potentially new classes of knights, samurai, and Vikings. So those of you who don't know, actually, we forgot to mention it. So For Honor is Ubisoft's new game where it's basically a third-person action game. Like, what would you even call it? Like,
it's a third-person medieval action game.
Yeah, and you're separated into 1 of 3 factions: knights, samurai, and Vikings. And yeah, so one of the core caveats of the game is that when you initiate a duel with somebody, you're using your right stick or on mouse, PC, a mouse, and there's 3 basically levels. You can block left, right, or high, and then it's kind of like a death ballet of, you know, blocking and, you know, riposting and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a fun, interesting mechanic. I don't know. I haven't played as much as you two. Maybe I don't know if it gets old. That mechanic, like Tyler says, I feel like the one-on-one could be really cool because it's kind of like a version of chess. It's like trying to outwit your opponent. Granted, I've seen a lot of run-on-one duels end up with just somebody falling off the map, which is always good.
You can just push people, which is always fun. Like a ring out.
That's the best part of it. I'm still enjoying it. I think there's a lot of depth to it. Each player or each character has their own movement to them, so you can't just jump in and use the same tactic. You have to actually study how that player uses his own character.
Yeah, there's a lot of different like abilities and stuff, and that's the one thing that the campaign's really good for, is because it goes through all of the game's classes during the campaign, which does make it seem like one super long tutorial, but like it is good for getting you prepared for the multiplayer. So like there's a
sometimes I like that how that's handled though. Like NetherRealm Studios does a good job in that sense of like their campaigns. Granted, they might be a little disjointed story wise. They usually let you play as every character. Like, and they'll jump you from character to character. Maybe never enough to get.
I feel
good
like
at
that
them.
Works better for them because you're not seeing tutorial screens.
Yeah, okay, I haven't played the campaign, so I can't speak to For Honor, and they are telling a story. I don't know if For Honor tells a good and or captivating story. So
I mean, okay, here's like the whole like loop of For Honor. War is bad, but we have to fight. Like that. It has like one of the worst endings I've ever seen in a game. Like it's so lame. I rolled my.
Is there any setup for a For Honor 2 or
easy?
Well, they're still fighting.
I'm legitimately asking because like this could be an easy free-to-play game, just like I think Rainbow Six could be free-to-play, but they don't want to lower that $60 value. So I'm just wondering, could there possibly be a? I mean, I think the best version of For Honor is free-to-play, and I wonder if that's an option for them.
Yeah, I mean, if this fails, I think they could do that. Same with Rainbow Six.
A lot of people registered and played through that open beta the weekend leading up to the game. So it'll be interesting to see how many that correlate into sales and to see how this game does. And like you said, to see if in 6 months, in the June, Julys, and even maybe the Decembers after that, are we still talking about For Honor? Is what they're doing captivating enough to keep bringing it up?
Yeah, I'm really genuinely surprised that more games haven't adapted a Killer Instincts model on Xbox One, because I think that's would work for a lot of different genres.
Yeah, Hitman, great example. One of the best games from 2016 went the episodic route, and when I used the Far Cry Prime example, granted not the greatest game, but people stopped talking about Far Cry Primal in February, which is when it came out. People didn't stop talking about Hitman, and we're continuously talking about Hitman still to this day because they did such a good job rolling out the content.
Was there much to talk about for Far Cry Primal though?
No. Yeah, that's why I use that example.
As someone who reviewed Far Cry Primal, I enjoyed it, but it was very much Far Cry 4, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think Ubisoft knew that. I was like, hey, I think we tapped out this formula that we kind of hit with Far Cry 3, because Far Cry 4 was even Far Cry 3 in in that other setting. So it's like, okay, let's try it one more time with this primal setting, and they're like, okay.
There really is something hilarious about Primal using 4's map completely.
Yeah, that was very funny. I remember seeing
they
that.
They did a lot to change it up, but the fact that it's identical looking is
again. Primal does some unique things. They invented sort of like a language for that game, and so but it
really good soundtrack.
Yeah, great soundtrack. The animal companions part to the game had some cool things to it. But just overall is literally Far Cry 4 with another skin. So, that's why we haven't seen or heard about a Far Cry game in a while. So I'm sure we'll get another one. But they'll, actually, it'll be interesting. Do we get another Far Cry?
We had 2 last year. We don't forget Trials of the Blood Dragon.
Oh, easy.
I mean, technically, I would say, what's the PlayStation 4 exclusive that's coming out in March?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon. Thank you. Yeah. Horizon is basically from the early previews. It looks like it's
very much a Far Cry game.
Very much, yeah.
But what we were talking about with the Kite games, Far Cry is definitely not that type of game. Now they could maybe make a new type of Far Cry that they support with a season pass and things like that. But Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal's a little bit more of an expansion type thing. But Far Cry 4 especially, granted that had DLC acquainted with it, that is not the type of game that we're talking about with the Divisions, with the For Honors, with the Rainbow Six Sieges. So it'll be interesting to see what the next Far Cry is.
I mean, I don't think that's going to work for a Far Cry Primal game, or Far Cry-esque game. But
yeah, well, like you said on their conference call, they want those tentpole games, even if they're not every game's a Kite game. They have the tentpoles.
Yeah. I think their tentpole for this quarter is probably For Honor, and then their tentpole for the fourth quarter is going to be Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, they also have it hasn't given a firm release date. It actually got delayed to the back half or 2017, but they still have South Park Fractured Butthole. That's an Ubisoft San Francisco game that's coming out this year. So, yeah, I said it, Tyler.
As far as I remember, I don't think the first one sold that well. It was a critical darling, but it didn't really sell that well for Ubisoft. Maybe that's because they had to buy it out from THQ and they had to go through all that expenses, and it got delayed. But for the most part, I remember it didn't really do that well.
I think
it has the South Park brand. It has everything else to it. So I'm sure it will do, well for them. But I'm just not too sure how well that is.
And remember that they're essentially recouping costs because the first game was developed by Obsidian Entertainment. And this one's developed by Ubisoft San Francisco. So it's an in-house studio. So I'm sure they're going to pay them less, or, it's going to be cheaper to develop this game than partnering with an Ubisoft, Obsidian, excuse me.
Also, it's kind of interesting. They actually teased Watch Dogs 3 this past week, where they updated Watch Dogs 2 with a new ending. And it kind of teases the London. Yeah, it teases that they're going to London.
Wait. They updated Watch Dogs 2 with a new ending?
I saw that on
It's a a phone call recording,
Oh,
and it has
okay.
the coordinates for London on it.
Yeah.
So,
Which
but it
makes
just
sense
talks
for
about
a
like
while.
mid tech groups like popping up all over the world.
Dead sick. Watch Dogs 2, another Ubisoft game that we haven't talked about on the show before, but I think it did some things interesting. Kind of falls apart later on, but a lot of these open world games it's hard to. It's strong openings, bad closings in a sense. So,
Ubisoft's really bad at writing. Like,
yeah, well,
their
Ubisoft in
narratives
general,
are kind of trash.
yeah, like the Ubisoft cycle, like games like a Steep, games like a Division, they have very strong first 5 hours, but then they have weaker back 50 hours.
What happened
Like
with Steep, man?
came and gone.
I mean, like it came at a weird time. Like there's really nothing else
That should
at
have helped
time.
it. That should have helped
But at the same time, though, like snowboard games tend to be just low sellers. And I'm not saying that they didn't give it their best, but it just seemed like they try to stuff so much in Steep that like the best stuff in that game just didn't get seen.
Hey, they really did try something at least, because snowboarding games in general haven't really been a thing for the last couple of years. So it's cool.
That's console generation.
Yeah, it's at least they tried something.
Yeah, I was so excited when I saw Steep, and then the reception was just like, and then I still haven't tried it out. I want to try it, but I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, that was an open beta game for me where I did the open beta when they had or closed beta, and I played it, and I was like, oh, this seems like fun, but it also seems like something that I'll play for a few hours and then put down. For Honor's a weird thing too, because the Switch comes out in 2 weeks. So, I know a lot of people that said, yeah, I'm picking up For Honor, it's going to be great. And then, when the Switch and Zelda comes out, they'll probably jump off it. So
I don't think those audiences are connected at all, though. I think
there are a lot.
I think there's a general gamer audience that's going to buy everything. And I'm just, at this point, I want Nintendo to earn and actually make IP that actually attracts me. I just, their lineup doesn't really do much for me anymore.
Let me tell you about ARMS.
Let me tell you about 1-2 Switch.
Let me tell you about the milk mini game. I'm milking a cow.
It's perfect for it's perfect for Vine, I hear, but yeah, I don't know. Like I was gonna say this before. Like you don't really need a pre-order or even have a Switch in order to be a fan of Nintendo. I think there's this thing where I enjoy Nintendo, but I don't think the Switch is a good console.
Well, easy. You don't.
Let's say appealing console.
Yeah, let's say
appealing.
Let's
say
appealing. Say it's good. Yeah, you can't.
It's a little too early to.
It only has 4 games on
it. Again, the Super Nintendo launched with F-Zero and Super Mario World, both great games.
That was a very different time.
Yeah, exactly. But even now, I mean, there's a lot of independent games and stuff like that. But yeah, like Tyler said, you can be cautiously skeptical about it, but don't say it's a bad console just yet, because obviously it's not out. And Zelda is a system seller. People are going to buy that thing for Zelda.
And I'm sure that will segue well, but I got to interrupt here. But so you talked about being on the open beta for Steep.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting that they did an open beta for Honor and stuff, because I know game demos kind of stopped because they ended up hurting sales in most cases. But we're still seeing all these betas. Like, I wonder if we're gonna see like a pushback to where, like, because I know a lot of people personally that played the For Honor beta and they're like, yeah, that's not for me, and like they were disinterested in the game. And then Ghost Recon Wildlands, like that got a lot of blowback where people did not like that beta. So I'm curious if these open betas will continue. Like, is this the trend that we're gonna keep seeing, or if they're gonna be done with it?
That's an interesting question. Alex, what do you think?
Let's go down the list. I think the last couple of betas for Halo Wars were out, and I played it, but it didn't really attract me. So I've had zero interest in Halo Wars, and that comes out on Tuesday.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's close to being out. Halo Wars 2.
And as someone who is a Halo fan, that enjoys most of the series, I have literally no interest in that series.
Yeah, I mean, it is an RTS, so if you're not an RTS fan,
I enjoy the first one. Like, I think I enjoy. What was that? Assemble. I think that was the first one was done by Assemble.
Yeah, Ensemble.
Yeah.
Ensemble.
And the new one's done by Assembly, so it's very easy to get mixed up.
Yeah, but like, I think it was that was 07, 08 when Halo Wars 1 came out,
I think it was 09, 09.
Oh nine? Okay. I thought that was a great way to bridge the universe and give that new material. And I liked, even though most of the story was done in the Blur CG cinematics.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool way to branch out that universe. But for the most part, like, I'm not too sure where Halo Wars 2 fits into whatever Halo is now.
It's like
Yeah,
right
and-
after 5 somehow.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
The
weird.
story's real.
Halo lore. Halo
But-
lore.
I have zero interest in like the Halo extended universe and shit, and I was
I'm
totally
tr-
lost. But it
I'm
tells
trying to
me-
get into it. I'm really am trying to get back into Halo because I think it's that universe is just as big as potentially Star Wars. At one point, it really was.
I just
I-
don't understand. Like, there are a lot of smart people that work for Microsoft. There are a lot of smart people that work for 343. At what point did they say, you know what's a good idea for Halo is not to let players play as Master Chief for the Halo game? I'm like, when was that a good idea? Like, we
Well, I
play
mean,
Halo
didn't that
because we
start in
want
Halo
to play.
2?
Yeah, that was Arbiter though. That was Halo 2.
Yes, and exactly. Halo 2 is an okay game. Halo 3 I liked too. But then, Halo 4 and Halo 5, like, again, Halo 5, they tried to do something. They tried to do the team mechanics thing. The story in Halo 5 has that franchise in such an off-the-rail position right now that I have no idea what Halo 6 is going to be about. And people tell me, oh, Espo, you got to read the books. Oh, my God, the extended lore, the comic books. Oh, my God.
Let me tell you about the Fall of Reach
Yeah,
miniseries.
I'm like, what the? I don't want to read that stuff. As a core gamer, that's like asking me to jump into Kingdom Hearts 3 and understand it. I'm like, no, if you play Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and if you're crazy like me, everything else, you should be able to understand.
No,
3.
you can't. No, you can't.
Exactly. I know it's just like 5 was just nonsensical.
My biggest issue with the Halo, the new trilogy 4, 5, and Halo Wars 2, is that when it starts with Halo 4, it totally changes the ending of Halo 3. Like it doesn't feel like it's aligned in that trilogy, and I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
weird.
either I needed more time. The distance between Halo 3, I feel like I needed just like
Nah,
2 more
man,
years.
gotta read the books. Gotta read the books, bro.
No, like I did read the books. So that's the thing. I was really invested in that. So like I feel like there just wasn't that. I feel like I was waiting for Xbox One or the new generation, and Halo 4 came at the wrong time. Like it came at the end of the 360 era. It came at it just felt like it was at the wrong time to reintroduce Master Chief.
I guess there was a Halo 4, huh?
It was.
Like
It had
like,
QuickTime
can
events in
anyone
it.
tell me what happens in Halo 4? Like any
Big
of you.
circle, big white circle.
I
thing.
remember Reach coming out. I don't remember Halo 4 existing.
The
Huh.
Didac,
Yeah.
the guy's name is Didac or Dennis Dyack comes down. The 2 human developer comes down, Dennis Dyack, and you fight him. No, the bad guy in that one's called the Didac.
I feel like I don't want to say Halo has become irrelevant because that's not true.
no.
but-
It's a system seller. It's gonna push
But
you.
like,
Halo 5.
I feel like it's important since 3 has dropped off like a cliff. Like it's still
Yeah,
important
oh,
for
yeah.
Microsoft, but like if you compare it to like how excited people were for 3, and maybe part of that is because 2 had you play as Arbiter or whatever, and they're like, Master Chief's back, let's finish this fight. And then like I remember that being a huge event. And then every other Halo game since then, wow, like big releases, they aren't an event anymore. It's nothing like you don't see that type of craze. But I also kind of don't see that at all with any games nowadays. Like, I don't know, Halo 3 video games peaked there.
And hey, Halo 5 Guardians had a very successful launch window for them. So, I mean, I'm sure they're happy about it. But at the same time, that was the first Halo game. Even 4, I kind of stopped playing.
Nobody even cares
player.
about gamer fuel anymore. The Mountain Dew drink.
I didn't play any of the multiplayer for Halo 5, maybe a little bit. But yeah, the story was just so nonsensical. Again, and I think they can do so many cool things because the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana is the core of that series. What happens if Master Chief dies and he becomes an AI? And at the end of Halo 6, he becomes a chip and he puts it into a new person. And then that's who you play in Halo 7, 8, and 9.
What if they just stop making Halo games?
Yeah, that's probably the better solution.
Funny, Tyler. Yeah, but to wrap it back up to Halo Wars 2, Creative Assembly knows what they're doing with these type of strategy RTS games. So I'm very cautiously optimistic. I liked Halo 1 just like you, Alex, so I'm very cautiously optimistic to play Halo Wars 2 because Creative Assembly
I
makes great
played
games.
Halo Wars 2 this weekend beat the campaign and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I really liked it, and one thing that's kind of odd and strange about the game is, it is from Creative Assembly, who are
Total
best known
War.
for the Total War games, and so I was expecting like a strategy game from it, and they do a lot of weird stuff in the campaign where it kind of gets away from being like a.
Oh,
like,
wow, interesting.
They have like a lot of cinematic stuff going on, and then there's elements from other genres. Like one level is basically just a tower defense game where you're facing waves of enemies, and that's cool. Like they do a lot of cool stuff with the campaign. The multiplayer though is totally what you would expect, where it's a tower where you are playing an RTS game.
Yeah.
And then they have that new Blitz mode, which kind of blends
Talk
an
to me.
RTS game with card building.
Oh,
And that's
of course.
really weird.
There it is. You know why? I'm sure they want to sell you those packs.
They are selling currency in that game, but you unlock I got a bunch of packs because
Cool.
the review copy was the Ultimate Edition, and then you get packs from finishing the campaign and stuff.
Cool.
So I had a
That's
bunch of cards. I did find the mode fun though. It's like this real quick paced thing.
Can I ask you what are the what are some of the examples of like the cards? Like what are the cards?
So
do?
instead of like using your base to get new units and stuff, you have like 5 cards at the bottom of your
Oh,
screen.
interesting.
And then you collect energy, and then you use the energy to unleash cards from your deck. So if I wanted to bring in like a, let's just say a Halo soldier, or a Spartan, sorry, you would select that card, and then you have a Spartan in your group. So it really speeds up the gameplay because you're not waiting like 2 minutes for something to build at your
iOS.
Nice.
Why don't we see this on like a iOS device? That sounds like besides graphically, obviously. Like that sounds like a great way.
I mean,
to
you're
do
still doing the regular RTS gameplay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, you do
I was
have this
gonna
card mechanic that replaces the base building, which
play on
is
Xbox
fun.
360.
I
I mean Xbox One.
One. Yeah, but there is like a disconnect where I don't know if like the RTS fans will really like that Blitz mode, because you are taking like away from this like skill-based game and adding this random element.
How did it play with the controller? I know Halo Wars 1.
It
actually
basically
made a good
mirrors
use of
the
it.
controls of the first game.
Okay,
So it works pretty well.
cool.
Is there any difference between how the PC plays and how the Xbox One plays? Is there any?
I haven't
big
I haven't
difference?
had a chance to check out the.
I'm
the
assuming
PC.
mouse and keyboard controls.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
but
seem
I'm
like a
looking
good way to
to
play. Yeah, which is a
I'm-
good way to play RTS.
Yeah, but like if the interface, I would suppose, has to be different on PC compared to Xbox One.
I'm sure
Uh,
because they do such a good job with their Play Anywhere initiative that as soon as you hook an Xbox One controller up to that thing, it changes to the interface that's on the 360 version.
Is that still a thing? Is that still a program?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Microsoft-
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I was still burnt by Dead Rising, so I'm just asking.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Resident Evil 7 was a Play Anywhere game, or it wasn't. If you bought it on the Xbox One, you got a PC copy.
Oh, was it? That's weird.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's weird, right? Isn't that weird? Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, that's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be cool. Yeah, I'm definitely interested to check that out. I like Halo Wars 1. I think Creative Assembly. Granted, I like, oh my God, what's the other one? Who makes the Company of Heroes games?
I know who you're talking about, though.
I like them. They're also wonderful. I'm gonna do the old Google. It is Relic. Yeah, Relic. I love the Company Heroes games. Those are probably my favorite RTS games, especially one. So
is that Sega or 2K?
Sega?
Sega bought them too. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
Sega's got. They got,
Sega
like,
is like the
RTS games
RTS.
along.
Yeah,
That's so
the
weird.
RTS production people, which is cool.
Except StarCraft is still number one.
Oh, did you see the Sega logo on your Xbox? That's pretty good. That's pretty good if you see the Sega icon, because if they do Creative Assembly, they own Creative Assembly too, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they
Sega
own
on Xbox One. There we go, boys. It only took a couple years, a while. I'm sure it's happened before. But that's cool. I'm glad you liked it. I mean, now I'm more interested to check it out. I mean, again, we talked about Halo and the campaigns a little bit. Does it make any sense? Or
Yeah, I think it's a very good like casual RTS. I'm not like a huge RTS guy.
yeah. Well, what about the campaign? What about the campaign, like as like a story premise? Does it make any sense? Is it a good
I was
campaign?
lost
Or
for a good bit because it's kind of nonsense, but it kind of tells like a decent self-contained story. Like even though I kind of didn't know how this stuff was fitting into the greater Halo lore and world, there was still like a threads of the story I could follow. Fine.
Do you have to be a Halo fan, or would someone who hasn't played any of the Halo games understand what's going on?
You can follow the basic story of these people were in suspended animation for 18 years and they wake up and now they got to fight people. Like that's easy enough.
I'm surprised there's never been a Lego RTS. You know, with the properties that they own, Warner Brothers has license to.
It would be perfect for the building. Yeah.
And, yeah, exactly. And you build whenever you build a unit, you just like build it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the copyright must be
Warner Brothers. Yeah. Warner Brothers, contact us, Tyler and I. We have ideas.
I'm just telling you, the copyright must be absolutely insane to do.
They have those licenses. So like Harry Potter, Gremlins. Mini segue. I guess I saw the Lego Batman movie. And like things like Voldemort, Gremlins, King Kong, Dracula, they have so many licenses that they can use, DC obviously and Marvel that they license out to. So like it would be a really cool like RTS thing to do that, which would be fun. But I don't think we talked about it last week on the show, but like Marvel finally wising up, they did partnerships with like Eidos Montreal, Square Enix, who owns Eidos Montreal. Obviously we know Telltale's making something. So it would be cool to see like good Marvel games from good studios coming out. So
yeah, Telltale's doing the Guardians of the Galaxy
game, and I think there's another Guardians of the Galaxy game in development too, which is cool. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, like I don't know, like how'd you like Batman, Lego Batman?
Yeah, Lego Batman's great. I mean, coming off the success, Warner Brothers just gets it. Warner Brothers Animation just understands it. Lego movie, wonderful. Kept the same charm. If you're a Batman fan, you'll love this movie. If you're just a fan of the Lego movies and that type of humor, you'll love this movie. There was a preview for Lego Ninjago, which I've never even heard of before for Lego Batman, and I'm like, I'm on board because just like the brand of humor, they know their audience and they know what plays. And that's great. And there's so many references to the old Batman movies and things like that. So
walk me through this. Lego Batman.
Yes.
Is this in the Lego? Is this the character from the Lego movie, or is this?
No. Batman is in the Lego universe. Batman's in the Lego movie. But
isn't that Will Arnett?
Yes, it's Will Arnett.
But wasn't there another Lego Batman movie like a year ago? That was like
Well, that was based off of the video games.
This isn't.
No. So this is Lego Batman based off the Batman that appeared in the Lego movie for a couple of years ago, and
so it's a Lego movie spinoff.
Yes, essentially. Okay. But they don't reference the Lego movie in any way. But there's a lot of fun little nods to previous Batman movies and things like that. And like I said, he goes to the Phantom Zone in one part.
Michael Cera in this?
Yes, he plays Robin. Michael Cera plays Robin. Zach Galifianakis plays Joker. Jimmy Schmitz is in it. I mean, there's so many people in this movie. Ralph Fiennes is back, but he plays Alfred and not Voldemort, which I thought was interesting because he plays Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies. It's great. It's super funny. Tries to jam one of those lessons in there. Has some great visual gags, and it's just overall like very, very well done. Two good movies. First time Hollywood in a long time has had 3 movies over $30 million opening weekend. Lego Batman, John Wick 2, and 50 Shades of Grey 2. So it's really cool to see that, at least, if you're into that, there's a movie for everybody.
So was the Bondage film the best of the 3, or which was your favorite?
I've seen all 3, actually. So I liked John Wick and the Lego Batman movie a little bit more than 50 Shades 2.
Okay.
50 Shades 2 happens to be worse than 50 Shades 1, and 50 Shades 1 is a pretty bad movie. So I was very pleasantly surprised how bad it was.
But is there fucking?
It's essentially a softcore porn. It's essentially softcore porn with like literally. I was like looking at the movie and I was like, okay, and I watched it and I'm like, oh well, that's a thing. So again, those movies cost so little to make. The first one had a budget about 35. This one has a budget of about 40 something. And like the first one made over $500 million.
So how many million of that budget is spent on like lube?
A lot, I'm sure. I mean, you'd be surprised the amount of lube that, again, this is a weird segue, but you'd be surprised the amount of lube that you have to buy for superhero movies because they lube the people up to put them in the spandex costumes. So I don't know where that came from. It's just marrying everything together, you just
have all these tidbits in your brain.
Yeah, so if you think you can squeeze into those 34s but not quite, just have some lube with you and slather yourself up and get ready for it to go out.
Let's get back to Batman. I just want to just get rid of 50 Shades.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Everybody does a good job, with the voice acting. It plays to a lot of stuff. Like there's a musical version of the "Na na 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 Batman" song that they do in the beginning, which is great. And it's just a fun movie. Like I honestly didn't really dislike anything about it. Like I really, really liked it, and I really like the Lego Movie too. If you guys haven't seen that, you should check it out. It's a wonderful film.
I don't know, for a kid going to see Batman or the Lego Movie, I'm not too sure how many of the indie or inside references you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, especially
it does rely so much on you seeing the last 6 Batman movies, or even to understand. Yeah.
Yes and no. Like if you have a general premise of it, they make a few jokes harkening back to it. It's like, Alfred, my parents are dead and I'm depressed. And he goes, oh, Master Wayne, you've gone through this phase in 2016, 2012, 2011, 2006, 1995, 1989, and one time, weirdly, in 1966.
I mean, I think those references are cool, but
there's only 2 or 3 of them, so it's not awful. Again, if you are a diehard Batman fan, you'll get a little bit more out of this movie. He's going through his costumes and he's going through these weird, his enemies. They make references about Condiment Man and stuff like that, and it's like, are these real? They're like, are these all real characters? And they're like, yeah, they're worth a Google. So it's very self-aware and stuff like that. So I mean, if that's the type of humor that you like, you'll fit right in.
Yeah. Do you ever think there's going to be a Justice League movie? They did have a couple of Easter eggs.
That would be cool to do a Justice League Lego movie. I mean, they have the license, so they could do that, which would be a lot of fun. So, I mean, they are already well on track for their animated cinematic universe. I mean, their live-action cinematic universe can use some work. I mean,
what if Mel Gibson's Suicide Squad 2 is just Legos?
Dude, that would be so cool if Mel Gibson directed Suicide Squad 2. Suicide Squad 1 is an abomination. We have a review up on vpdaily.com. So you can read that, but I reviewed that for the site. What a bad movie. Batman vs. Superman, a little bit better, but still not great. Justice League looks to maybe, turn the wheels again. But it's just reported that Ben Affleck kind of wants out of being Batman. So that's not a substantiated rumor. It's just starting to, the rumblings are just out there. So it's not confirmed, but that sucks. I mean,
if Ben Affleck leaves the Warner Brothers and leaves the DC universe, at that point, do you think they should just reboot the DC universe and just say, hey?
That's tough to do because even before Ben, there was, Superman was the first one in that universe, that reboot universe, and they have the Wonder Woman, and they're already on board with the Flash and stuff. So I'd either replace them or just say something like, "Oh, Batman's gone to do something else" or something. So, again, I don't see him dropping out. I mean, it's rumored that Matt Reeves
want out.
The Batman.
Does he want to get?
He just doesn't want to do it anymore.
The Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah. He was originally supposed
signed on when he was
direct the Batman. Yeah, and he was going to direct the Batman standalone movie, but he dropped out of that. They don't have a script now. They kind of said Matt Reeves might direct it. Matt Reeves did the last 2 Planet of the Apes movies, which are really good. So I'm cautiously optimistic if he decide to direct the Batman, but again, not confirmed or anything. So it'll be interesting. That the DC cinematic universe is a kind of rough situation right now, but the Justice League trailer looks interesting, so maybe they can pull it back together. Hopefully,
yeah. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake with Justice League Part 1, or is it? No, there's just one movie this time. It's just there's a lot at stake with Justice League in terms of how that movie is shaping up. That's in 2018 or 2019. I think it's in 2018.
Next year.
And
we get Wonder Woman. I believe Wonder Woman is this year, and then we get Justice League in 2018 with a Aquaman movie coming late 2018, and then a Flash movie coming after that.
There's no director though with the Aquaman quite yet, and the Flash still doesn't have a director. Cyborg still doesn't have a script, director, anything associated with it. That's the one I'm really looking forward to. I think there's a lot of potential with Cyborg.
Unless he hasn't bowed out yet, James Wan is directing Aquaman. James Wan, you guys know from Saw and like Conjuring. He did one of the Fast and the Furious movies.
He did
Man,
Star
it's
Trek.
gonna be really awkward when
So-
Aquaman gets his hands caught in a 6-pack wrapper, that plastic, and he has to cut his arm off to get out of it.
Fish, yeah. Good joke, Tyler. That
Thank
was a
you.
good one. That was a good one. It'll be interesting. Like I said, James Wan, great director. Don't know if Aquaman as a character can support a whole movie.
Hey, genuinely, when they did the New 52 for DC,
Yeah, he had a good. He had a good
Aquaman
book.
was one of the best
had a
comics.
good
there.
book.
I think you can do a lot with Aquaman. Like
Yeah,
I
he's
know
great
he's
in the
a
Injustice
punchline.
games.
a lot,
Yeah.
but like you can do a good story with him.
That was kind of like the biggest surprise about Injustice, about how fun it was to play as Aquaman.
Yeah.
And the joke about it was like, is this the sneaky way of making Aquaman look cool again or be cool again? It's like, I get it. He plays with sharks, but he's still not popular. He's still swimming with dolphins. And
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. I mean, Injustice 2, also an open beta that I got a chance to check out. Closed beta, excuse me. Online only. They keep adding characters to it. That game is Injustice 1. But they added a loot-based armor mechanic, which I'm not a huge fan of. But it'll be interesting just how it's incorporated into the final game. I don't want to make any judgments until how I see.
I think that was in MK10. That loot upgrade system.
No. This upgrade system is completely different. This upgrade system it drops after every fight, and it basically revamps the stats of your character. So it's like, oh, you just got uncommon gloves for the Flash. That's plus 0.001% to attack and things like that. So it's a system but there is a tournament mode which strips all that out. So if we're just playing and
I was gonna mention if anybody doesn't.
So
it'd be cool.
That makes perfect sense, but I wonder how that's going to balance out with multiplayer, because I know that a lot of people. I mean, I assume people are going to complain about it. So
it's interesting. Lots of great things coming out.
All right, guys. I think that wraps it up for Point Taken. There wasn't anything major news.
No. I mean, we can mention Zelda. Nintendo announced that Zelda is going to have a season pass, and it kind of ties into the theme of the episode of kite games. Even Nintendo, it's the change of the times. In a sense of that, they want to have a kite on this game. They want you to be thinking about Zelda in the summer and in the winter when those 2 DLCs or the expansion pack is ready to come out. The first one's just a time trial, like trial mode and a hard mode, and then the second one's story content. So it's
the only thing I want to mention about that is I thought it was really funny that last week I was seeing Nintendo fans like defend gacha games because Fire Emblem Heroes is one, and now they were outraged about a season pass.
The interesting thing too is
that was pretty funny.
You cannot buy these things piecemeal. You can only buy them together. So the first one I mentioned, it's a hard mode and a time trials thing, or like a challenge mode. That doesn't seem super appealing to me personally, but I'm all about that story DLC. But you can't buy them separately, so you have to pay the $19.99 to buy the whole expansion pass, which is interesting.
Has there been a hard mode?
Also, the shady grossness about the expansion pass is if you buy it now, on day 1, it unlocks 3 chests in the overworld, and one of them has a shirt that Link can wear with the Nintendo Switch logo on it.
That's kind of awesome, though.
Stupid.
That's Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's Nintendo operating normal business. I understand what's going on.
You could drive a Kia.
Don't
You
get
could
your
drive a
corporate
Kia.
business. Yeah, don't get your corporate business into my Zelda world. I'm Zelda. Walking. Well, excuse me. I'm Link. Walking around my adventure land. Oh no! Is that a Zelda Nintendo Switch shirt? Hey Ganon, look at this. I was in line day 1.
God, if Zelda realized how embraced its stupidity, that would be so cool. But I really doubt it's going that way.
Like you said, a Kia just comes out, like a BMW just comes out. Sup, girl? I'm here to pick you up.
Jumping on your point, Tyler, I find it kind of odd. No one's really talking about the HD resolution regarding Nintendo Switch, about how it's only 900p, and remember like the big uproar about having Microsoft not being full 1080p at launch.
They
not
still
I
having,
think that's.
Most
I don't know
games
if
are.
there's an uproar about it, but like that mostly comes into place with like fucking fanboy arguments. Like, nobody really gives a shit.
Look, Zelda: Link to the Past is one of the best games ever made, and it's a Super Nintendo pixel game. I never understood
Like what?
how
Rise
games
was
have
like
to, look.
900p, wasn't it? And like
Yeah,
that game's
and Rise
gorgeous.
looks
Like
really good.
people freak
I
out
just
about
think, like, it's
resolution and
like
stuff.
this
so-
argument, like the argument between Xbox and PlayStation 4 at that time was all about resolution, which looks
Oh
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
well that's a
That's
fanboy. Like
all I'm
Tyler said,
saying.
That's a fanboy thing. Like even today, like the Telltale games are atrociously bad on both consoles, but they run at less than 720p on an Xbox One, and that's like the weirdest thing in the world to me that they don't even hit 720p. I'm like, that's weird.
Although that Batman game looks fine for the most part.
Exactly,
like I
yeah.
didn't think it was like
It does.
ugly
So,
or
like, who
anything when I
cares?
played it.
Yeah.
I think everything's black and gray in Gotham, so I guess everything
Yeah.
looks good.
Like,
I
yeah.
will say I think Nintendo's helped by the fact that nobody views them as a real competitor. So I think they kind of get excused. Like for
Yeah,
that
it's
point.
interesting. Yeah, that's a topic for another day. Is like if the Switch succeeds or not. Like, what's the future of Nintendo depending on the success or failure of this console. So and 2 weeks, from it'll be closer by the time you hear this. But everybody, throw up your twos as we head out.
I'm
Throw
not
up the
pre-ordering,
twos.
so I'm not gonna throw it up.
Okay, well, Tyler, I'm touching.
Too sweet, man.
Thanks,
Too
boys. 2, and then wait, watch this, guys. Nintendo Switch.
That was terrible.
You should Nintendo switch your money to a better platform.
Do you just see again? That's like so. You know what? The Flash movie is awful. Don't go see the Flash movie. It's not out till 2018. I haven't seen anything.
Okay,
about it.
I'm so out of the loop. I thought there was a Flash film coming.
No.
out soon, and I was
But
so
That's what I thought too.
you can't bastardize the complete console without actually using it and seeing what is. Because you know what? I'll say this, and you guys can have me on record. Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. One of those 2 games will be in people's top of the year list. Like maybe both of them. Like Nintendo makes incredible first party games, and those games will be considered in like the end of
but
the
they
year's games
screwed
list.
up by not calling Splatoon 2 Splat 2.
Yeah.
Oh, with the 2 inside it? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll see. I mean, March 3rd's quickly approaching, but yeah.
Okay. Anyways, thank you for watching Point Taken. This is our first episode live streamed onto YouTube. Tyler, where can they find me at?
You can find me on Twitter at Tyler Treese. You can send hate mail to tylertreese@hellokitty.com. Thank you.
Andrew.
You can find me on Twitter at ASVizito426 and also on VPDaily.com. Like I said, the things we mentioned, Alex has a great review of Far Cry Primal that you can check out. And, we also reviewed Suicide Squad for the site. So you guys can give those reviews some love if you want some more thoughts about those 2 things.
You can find me on Twitter at Al Martinet. You can also listen to the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. Please subscribe. It helps us out a bit. We will be back next week, each Friday for the SoundCloud version. Until then, enjoy your day.
Bye.